Moose, come here. Come on, buddy. Yeah, let's go in the garden. All right, he's got great energy. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to A Garden Named Bill. It is Monday, the 27th of May, 2019. This is week number 8. Happy Memorial Day, anybody in the United States. And if you're a veteran and such, thank you for your service. I appreciate my life doing gardening and other good things. Hey, it's been 2 lunar months now. It is week 8, so this is the first corner that we started in on week 0, the first day of April this year. And just, isn't it spectacular how much has changed? Getting myself in the frame where I want in the camera right now, I'm actually straddling some corn, which we're going to see in just a little bit. Moose is just walking on the corn and gilling things, so he's a very helpful animal. Let's start with our overview shot. I wanted to briefly, once again, show you the overview shot from the first video, week 0, just so you can get a sense for how things have changed. And then week 4, I was excited that things were greening up then. And now here we are at week 8. And plenty is growing in the garden. Since last week, we've got potatoes that are popping through. I actually have some radishes that I could legitimately harvest. Some of the asparagus in the permanent asparagus bed is popping through. My spinach in both of the barrels is to the very, very top. I can harvest that now. The arch trellis is complete with buttresses on both sides. Everything is nice and anchored. My perennials that we planted, such as the currant and the blueberry and the gooseberry, have all taken really, really, really well. I've got rows of corn and sunflowers in. Some hanging baskets, that's new from last time. It's really very lovely. One new garden goodie since last week is this double shepherd's hook. On the left, I've got a hanging basket that's full of assorted herbs. Different kinds of basil, cilantro, thyme, parsley. And then in the other side, just to balance things out, these are some peppers that I had started indoors, and they were looking very sickly outside, so I thought I'll put all 3 of them in here since they were so small, and we'll see if any of them survive. And as I look closer, it seems that all of them are doing pretty well, so I'm either going to be transplanting or just killing some of those. Or, who knows, maybe we'll see if all 3 plants can grow in close quarters in one pot. That could be an experiment this year. Either way, it's not going to live, that particular pot is not going to live on the shepherd hook for its whole life. Another addition since last week, I put in a spaghetti squash plant. In my gardening master plan, I had completely forgotten about this somehow, and I don't know how I did that because we love spaghetti squash. I bought this from the greenhouse. That's why it looks so nice so quickly. And I thought, since I'm all out of space in my raised beds, and it's not growing in the ground, it grows on the ground, I'm going to use this kind of annexed space, I consider it, over here. And I think I'll be able to make the vines go from here out to this second raised bed here and climb along the fence. Because in June, once the sweet potato slips come in, I'm going to have them in this very far area. They make great ground cover, and they've grown in my clay before, so fingers crossed that works. I have next to no garden tasks for this upcoming week because on Wednesday I'm going to be leaving for Hamburg, Germany, and I'll be there from Wednesday through the following Thursday. I get back home pretty late, so if you're in Hamburg and you want to go get coffee, give me a direct message and we can make that happen. Anyways, my only real task this week, tomorrow morning, since there's no post today, tomorrow morning I'm going to rip out the rest of my raspberries because I still have yet to send one friend down in Milwaukee a box of raspberries, bare root, so they can get those planted. And then once I fill that box up, I'm going to rip up the rest of them. And I just dumped another wheelbarrow full of mulch to fill in the holes that are kind of all around from the other raspberries that I've dug up thus far. And now for a whole bunch of very quick highlights because everything is growing in the garden. In this corner, one of the old seeds for the giant county fair large winning pumpkin, or whatever the title of it is, has germinated. So my hopes and plans for this are to let that grow, control the vines as they spread along this area, and have the great big pumpkin growing here. Corn is looking decent. I had a germination rate of about 30% from what I initially planted. So last week I did reseed. As the rain comes this following week, I have a feeling that this is just going to fill up, and by the time I get home, it's going to be just full with like 6-inch tall corn. In my back row of sunflowers, I reseeded them as well, about the same germination rate. Slugs were a problem last year, and I remember somebody made a comment about putting out beer traps. So I've got several different beer traps to catch the slugs. And of the sunflowers that they didn't consume, well, what they haven't eaten are coming along pretty nicely. Even this one has a bite taken out of it. But still, I'm very pleased. The spinach is massive. This is good broadleaf spinach, and if Bridget doesn't use some of this while I'm gone, I'm going to be very sad because it might even start bolting. So we'll be cutting coming in with that as much as we can. The same goes for the other barrel. And then here where the zucchini are, I planted 3 seeds. All 3 of them germinated. I ended up giving one to my neighbor, and these 2 are going strong. I have to pull one before I leave because zucchini will take over this entire barrel. Yesterday, quite literally, I could tell that there was asparagus in here. Here, check it out. My first little asparagus shoots. And they're coming up so quickly. It's really, really neat for me to see that. Just these tiny little, nothings. I can't wait until this is just a great big fern bed. The tomatoes and peppers are doing nicely. I was able to start staking and training up the tomatoes. So they've got this little extra PVC cut off before they climb up here. Really nothing to show in addition to the peppers. Cauliflower is coming along splendidly. I'd say it's about twice as big as it was when I planted it a couple weeks ago. And as you can see, my hillage of cucumbers in the background has all germinated, and we'll start climbing this trellis shortly. Moose is standing guard to make sure nobody from outside the garden gets the potatoes. So here we are, 27 days since planting, and the tops of the potatoes are coming on through. Last week I brushed away some of the leaves and mulch in the corner, and you could see that the sprouts were coming up, and now we've got leaves on top of it. It's, see, they're all over. It's pretty interesting to see. I wonder what it's going to be like when I get back. Moose, stay out of there! Okay, well, Moose was about to examine the radishes. Nature is quick as candy. Radishes. I can harvest several of these already, which is pretty darn cool. The beets are coming along just fine, as are the carrots. Some of them are 4 inches tall, and I think I might even need to thin again, even though I thinned them out a week ago, or 2 weeks ago. This side was finally seeded. Over here, all beans, pole beans, as you would imagine. And then, this year, instead of planting seeds all throughout, what I ended up doing was 5 separate hillages. You can sort of see that there's a hillage mounted there. Same. I ended up mounting the hillages on against the buttresses, thinking that the poles would be well supported. So the center stalks of the main vine that I'm going to be curating, I will rope up on the actual poles and then let the foliage grow in between. So hopefully that should add to the structural stability as this goes along into summer. The currant here has successfully taken. It is very green all the way through. I've got about 4 inches of new growth since it was planted. I'm quite pleased to see that's doing well. The lingonberry has gotten over its transplant shock. It's no longer burgundy. It is green. I have new growth, and it is growing up. And the blueberry and cranberries have also changed color, turned the corner for the better, as I would imagine, and they're starting to fill up the pot. It's also the time of year when the raspberries start getting their flower heads. As you can see, if it wants to focus in the foreground, ta-da! So things like that are all around. By the time I get back, this should be full of flowers. The same goes for this variety right here. Really lovely. And of course the gooseberries are coming along splendidly. Those berries themselves are bigger than BBs from a BB gun, but not quite as big as marbles. Isn't that a great description? I hope you can get a feel for how big they are. I was watching some of my older videos from 2018, my garden tours, and if everything is the same, which essentially it has been, even though it's been a colder spring, I will have my first harvest of raspberries at the end of June, and I'll be able to start harvesting gooseberries at the same time or a week later. Well, I'm not going to take you out of the garden to see the fruit trees. They're pretty much the same as they were when we saw them last time. The apple trees have grown about 4 or 5 inches. They do a really good job of having bright green new growth, so you can always tell what's happening. We'll check those out next month. Thanks to everybody who's tuned into this and other things. Last week I put out a video, another jade video. I seem to do one of those a year, and they're very popular. The first one I did is actually one of my most trending videos, 100-some thousand. And the second one I did last year was 20-some thousand, so there's kind of that evergreen content. So I know it wasn't a garden thing per se, but thanks for watching if anybody did. I've got a lot of anticipation and excitement for my upcoming trip to Germany, but it'll be the first time that I'm traveling solo without my wife and without my baby internationally. So, you know, you've got those kind of fatherly concerns of, oh, what if the plane crashes? Even though I know it's statistically the safest way to travel. All those kind of things. I'm sure I'll be so excited and those thoughts will go out of my mind. But I'm also thinking about my poor garden, like, oh no, what's going to happen while I'm gone for 8 or 9 days? My neighbors have been very gracious and offered to water it if it doesn't rain, but honestly, this next week could be called the week of rain, starting at noon today and going for the next 7 days. It's supposed to be at least a drizzle every single day. So overall, the month of May was a big success. Everything that's in the garden that I'm growing this season is planted, with the exception of the sweet potato slips, because those need to be planted when it's much hotter than it has been here. I'll be able to harvest radishes already, harvesting spinach already. Those two are weeks earlier than I've ever been able to harvest them. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm pleased with my herbs. I'm pleased with the reseeding here. Things are going quite well. By the next time we're in this corner on week 12, let's see, end of June, we should have corn that's, you know, about this high. In our area, the saying is corn should be knee-high by the 4th of July. That's down here. But last year, it was like hip-high for me. Different when you're growing it in your own garden as opposed to probably mass growing it from an agricultural sense. And it looks like Moose is at the door ready to go, so I think I'm going to go get him and bid you all a fond farewell. Say hi in the comments section, and if you're going to Germany, let me know. Otherwise, I'll be back sometime to say hi. Okay, say bye, Moose. Ready? Bye.